Okay, so I reviewed my video footage of doing the bridge, and it's like 7 minutes long. So I'm just going to explain what I did on this bridge. It had clamp marks on it, and I wanted to sand those out, and so I did. And maybe I can make the bridge work. Just another video. What I used was just a regular stick with sticky back 150 on it to start, and I beat it down to where the damage was nearly gone, and then I used 320, went to 400, 600, and then steel wool, and then I used some of that oil, the replenishing oil that I showed in the previous video. Also in the same video footage I had glue. Of course there's glue on this too. I sanded that off. Put some glue around the edges here. I'd cleaned most of it off previously, but I showed a trick on how to get the glue loosened up, which goes thusly. You take a piece of cotton ball and you soak it with white vinegar, and you put it over the glue, being careful not to get glue too close to the edge of or the vinegar too close to the edge of the bridge. You don't want to loosen up the glue there. It doesn't make the glue gooey, but it makes it brittle and loosens it from the finish of the guitar. So I was able to chip a lot of it out, and then taking that fine polishing compound with a little rag and polish it off the rest of the way. So anyway, with that, we're going to get with the strings. Actually, I'm going to show you the tuners first. So we'll see you soon. Oh my God, what is this idiot doing? He's going to mess up those tuners. Well, to be honest with you, they're messed up already. You can see that movement there. Of course, the key knob isn't moving, but the tuner is. There's just a buttload of play in that. And I don't like it. I noticed it when I was tuning the guitar, that I have to drop way down to and then it took an eighth of a turn to start tuning it back up again. And that's not the only one that's a problem. This one over here is a problem as well. You can see it's moving back and forth. That's no good. That's in G. So I went ahead and got myself a new set of tuners to put on after I'm done with the fret leveling. They're Breedlove logoed black key, or black, what would you call that? Wing nut, I guess. I don't know what the technical term is. But yeah, beautiful keys that don't move. Okie dokie, since we've looked at these keys and know that they're funky, and I have some new ones, we're going to take these keys out and replace them. I like to take the nut off the top first, and then flip it over and do all the screws. That way, if the nuts are binding, it doesn't just spin the whole unit in the guitar. And take it off carefully. Usually it takes a 10mm to take them off, and that's how you do it right there. You just unscrew it. You lose it after you unscrew it, and sure, if you have the type that just has the collars that go in there. Press in, and you just take the screws out from the back, I believe. I don't have one to demonstrate that on. I have nothing with just regular collars in it. Maybe someday we'll pick one up for cheap. But anyway, that's that. I'm going to get the rest of these off and flip it over and do the other part. Okay, let's take some keys out. Using a number 1 Phillips tip, typically the size these little screws are. Either way it works. They're not in there real tight. They're just screwed into wood. I like using little baby screwdrivers because they're nice and light, and if I drop it, I'm gonna put a big dent in the guitar. And there's one. I'm going to explain something here in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these out. It's real simple. You just take the screw out. The reason I take this sleeve off or collar off first is so that when I turn it, if there's any binding in the collar itself to the key, it doesn't just spin it like that. It can cause a roundabout scratch in it. Some of them have little burrs in them that dig into the wood to help hold them in place as well. So anyway, we'll get the rest of these out and then we'll talk a little bit more about tuning keys. First on the agenda with keys is, of course, you have on this type of headstock, you have 3 on top, 3 on bottom. So if you decide to ever, what kind of hair is that? I don't have any pets, so I don't know what's going on with that. Anyway, you have 3 top, 3 bottom. So in order, you want to make sure that you get 3 on top, 3 on bottom. You can't see it from there, but the hole right here for the tuner on the back side is lined up with the hole in the dealio there. You put, I call them 3 and 3s, where people think that I'm talking about just one tree of tuners, open gear, but that's not what I'm talking about. When I say 3 and 3, I mean 3 upper and 3 lower. This will be the upper, lower, or 3 left, 3 right. So just got to make sure that you get the right combination of keys. If you're doing one that has all 6 on top, then you're going to be getting all 6 the same. I believe they are right. If you're right-handed, and it's right-hand guitar, so you get right-handed keys. I believe that's what they call them. I'd have to double check. But and then if it's one of those ones that has the keys on the bottom, then do it accordingly. Part 2 of this key situation is a lot of people in the videos I've watched don't talk about gear ratio. These particular ones are 14:1. The way to tell what you got, because it doesn't say on them, at least on these type, on these Breedlove logoed pieces of shit. It doesn't say what's on them. Neither do these. I believe these are American made Breedlove logo. These are Chinese made. Anyway, you take and you put a piece of tape on the actual wing nut there. You put a piece of tape on, and this is over the hole on the shaft itself, and then one on the housing, and you turn this and count how many full revolutions that this key takes to spin this tape all the way around to where it lines up with the tape on the housing again. And this one I measured as 14 to 1. So 1 revolution of the shaft to 14 revolutions of this wing nut. On these, they're 18 to 1. What the difference is that this moves the shaft less as you turn it. So, which means you can do more of a fine tuning on it. So, anyway, that's that. We'll go ahead and put these dogs in. I like to set them up to where I got these in their own little rows. And then, of course, I got the hardware right here. Comes with new screws and collars and washers. So, next time you see me, there'll be new keys on this Breeze. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention is that when putting the tuners in, put all the screws in, but you don't tighten them all the way down just yet. You leave them a little bit loose, just snug them down far enough so that the screw is almost touching the where you're going to tighten it down to, so that when you put the collars in on the other side, I could use a little bit more. You put the collars in on the other side, you're not putting them in on something that's bound at an angle. And so just keep that in mind when installing tuners. I'm going to flip this over now and put the collars on. Might have to adjust the camera a little bit. These collar nuts are typically 10 millimeter head, and I like to use a nut driver, as you've seen in the disassembly, to do this because it holds it over the deal, and slipping is almost impossible. Unless you're just absolutely not very good at this, which I'm getting better, but still could improve a whole bunch. But anyway, let's put one on, and when I'm done putting these collars on, obviously I will flip it over and tighten down the screws on the other side, but not too tight because we are going into wood. We want to make sure that we don't strip the screw hole out. And should your screw hole be stripped out already, just go ahead and you can sometimes take a toothpick and break it off in there, or put some kind of glue in there or something. So anyway, that's about it for now. I got all the collars started in there. There's no particular pattern that I use to tighten these down. I just start with whatever one looks the loneliest, and I start tightening it down. And I snug down this side just to where it stops moving, where the key stops moving. I hold the key so that I don't, I think you probably saw on that one there where I hold the key so that it doesn't want to move around too much as I'm snugging it down. And because they don't have to be torqued just yet, and they don't have to be torqued really hard. But one thing to note is that every time you change your strings, you should double check your collars here and just give them a little, tighten down if they're loose, which sometimes they do loosen up, especially if you're in a dry climate. Right now it's humid here, so I'm going to be tightening these down on a fat neck or a fat headstock, as wood will expand in the humidity. And then probably later on next winter, when it becomes dry again, it'll be a little thinner. So now we flip the guitar over, don't know how long all this crap's taken. I'm supposed to be getting to putting strings on. Now we can snug these up real nice, but not too tight. Just want to tighten them down enough to get them into position. They'll likely settle as you're putting tension on them with the strings. They may move a little bit, who knows. But you just want to snug them down. Do not go too tight. And then, because really it's the collars that are going to do the most holding here. Okay, now I'm just putting a little bit more tension on it. Not with two hands like that. Yeah! Just one hand with my fingers. I'm not even palming it. Just one hand with fingers. Oh, slipped a little. But it didn't come off and scratch the headstock. That's what I like about this particular type of tool. Snug them down. And then you are Finn. Okay. I kind of like the look of that. Let's tilt the camera up and show the whole guitar. Switch it over here a little bit. And go back. I like the look of those black keys on there. They look kind of nice. Actually, it goes this way. But anyway, you can't see the keys from that side. So, there we are. Next will be stringy ding ding things. Those things that go along here and make noise. I guess my camera's still loose. Okay, see you in a few.